Steve Cohen and the Mets are not only breaking the bank this offseason, but they're breaking my heart. No. Now, obviously, I'm kidding, but then again, I'm not, because as a Guardians fan, I'm very jealous of the fact that the Mets are owned by a guy who's worth almost $18 billion in Uncle Steve, so we'll talk about him later on, but I do want to focus on Kodai Senga going to the Mets on a 5-year, $75 million deal, and a lot of people are saying that Kodai was robbed. I mean, $75 million is a lot of money, but I guess for a guy that just posted from Japan, he was Japan's best pitcher, how could he not get more than $75 million? And I guess you do have a point, considering over his last 1,350 innings, he has a combined 104 and 51 record, a 2.42 ERA, and he has a 10 strikeouts per 9. So he is one of the top free agents in all of the free agent pool this year. How come he only got 5 years for 75, where someone like Seiya Suzuki could get 5 years for 85, or even someone like Masataka Yoshida could get 90 million? So Kodai Senga, a lot of people are saying his agent should get fired, but guess what? The Mets, they're happy with that. Now, just to kind of put it into perspective, the Mets have now spent almost $500 million this offseason in free agents. Even though they lost Jacob deGrom, they're probably not going to get Chris Bassett. I mean, they re-signed Brandon Nimmo for $185 million. They gave a bunch of money to Justin Verlander, a bunch of money to Kodai Senga, some money to David Robertson. The Mets are absolutely loaded.
About these, about this one,
About midnight.
this one.
Now, when I say that, it could be subjective. I didn't even mention Jose Quintana, by the way, so he got a 2-year contract. So if we take a look at all the players that they've lost, so they lost Dominic Smith, Terrence Gore, the heart and soul of the squad, Adam Ottavino, Trevor Mace probably not coming back, Joely Rodriguez, Trevor Williams went to the Nationals, Tyler Naquin. I mean, a lot of these guys, including Jacob deGrom, are not going to be on the team. So you can make the argument that the Mets have done a pretty good job at replacing players that have left. Chris Bassett, that's Kodai Senga. Jacob deGrom, that's Justin Verlander. But then other people are saying, well, if they're just replacing guys, are they actually getting better? So I guess you guys can go crazy in the comments if you want to answer that question. But one thing I do want to show you guys, the Mets payroll is now $349 million. If we take a look at this tweet from Buster, only the Mets luxury tax penalties for 2023, just the penalties, we're not talking about payroll, they are higher than 10 to 12 teams for all of their payroll. And this is just taxes. If you're confused as to what I mean, give me a second. So he ends the tweet by saying Steve Cohen wants to add to the championship trophy to his collection of art. If you have no idea who Steve Cohen is, again, he's this guy right here, Uncle Steve. A lot of people refer to him as Daddy Cohen because he's got daddy funds right here, $18 billion. Now, this is not liquidity. Of course, this is spread across his portfolio of businesses and stocks and equities across the world. Okay, this is not just straight cash. Now, you guys remember when there was a lockout, players versus owners, and it was really annoying, but we finally got through it. Well, one thing that was adjusted was the luxury tax, and a lot of people call it the Steve Cohen tax, and he's actually come out and said, I don't mind this, because he said it's better than a bridge being named after you. So essentially, the Cohen tax is, look at this paragraph right here. So the luxury tax threshold before the lockout was $210 million. Afterwards, it was $230. So we can see that because the Mets are above $230 million going into 2023, and they're not even close, as we just saw, they're almost at $350 million. They will be paying about $80 million in luxury tax, aka the Steve Cohen tax. And where does that money go? It goes to the other teams in Major League Baseball. So because the Mets and Steve Cohen are spending money at a historic pace, they have money up to you-know-what. Other teams in Major League Baseball are saying, hey, go for it, buddy. You're going to spend all of that money just to lose in the divisional round. Now, I'm not saying this is what the trolls and the Mets haters are saying. They're saying you're going to spend $500 million just to come in second place behind the Phillies, and other teams are going to reap the benefit because the Cohen tax is going to give them money. Speaking of other teams, this is a perfect segue to use this tweet right here. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm happy that Steve Cohen is breaking the mold and shoving it in the faces of the other owners. This guy is saying the Mets have a 300 and whatever payroll, and the Marlins owner is only worth $500 million. That sounds like a Marlins problem. Maybe he should sell the team, because baseball owners are notoriously cheap. So yeah, Steve Cohen breaking the mold. I'm happy about it. I want him to keep on spending. Now, again, the reason why this doesn't affect Steve Cohen is because he's worth $18 billion. This is the same guy that spent $140 million on a statue. No, I am not kidding. It was $141.3 million exactly. It's a 6 feet tall pointing man. Right. Now, one thing I thought was funny is in this article, Steve Cohen said that he's okay with it and he wants to live within the $290 million threshold. It's a pretty big limit, but I've got to live within the baseball confines. Yeah, Steve Cohen has quickly realized he doesn't care about how you feel. He doesn't care about how Robert Manfred feels. He wants to spend the most money possible. He wants a championship, and he doesn't care if he hurts your feelings in the process. Again, there's going to be a lot of haters, but he's walking the walk. So let me know in the comments, do you think that Kodai Senga, David Robertson, Jose Quintana, and Justin Verlander is better than Taijuan Walker, Seth Lugo? You have Jacob deGrom and the other guys that we talked about who left. If you're a Mets fan, let me know. If you're a casual, let me know.